Giddy up, guys. Thanks so much for tuning into Wager Wise Network. I'm Cowboy back with another First and Goal, and today we're heading to West Point, New York, where the Army Black Knights are hosting the Tulane Green Wave. Currently, the line is Tulane -4, over-under at 47.5. And this is the American Athletic Conference championship game. You've got Army, who comes in the season with their only blemish on the season, a loss at home to Notre Dame, 49-14. Other than that, they ran rickshaw through their entire schedule. And they do have one more game waiting after this. That is the game against Navy, the last game of this regular football season. I guess we will do a video on that as well. Let's talk about Army, though. Who is this team? Bryson Daly's a quarterback. And I say quarterback lightly. This team is not a team that passes the ball very much. In fact, they pass the ball 133rd in the nation, 92.4 yards per game. I think the team that's last is Air Force. And they're a rushing team. There's no secret here. This is an academy team. This is what they do. They run the triple option. Plain and simple, that's all they do is run, and they put up a lot of points doing it. I mean, it's a difficult scheme to game plan against, in a sense. I guess that the fact is that there's only three teams that typically run this offense: Air Force, Army, and Navy. And Army seems to be doing it the best. Bryson Daly, he's a quarterback for him, and he's been fantastic all season long. Kid's an automatic touchdown every game, 860 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. But we're not here to talk about his passing. We're here to talk about his rushing. The guy's been absolutely incredible running the football all season long. He's a senior, 6 foot, 221 pounds. This season so far, he's got 1,350 yards on the ground and 25 touchdowns. Now, there is a black eye on this team as a whole, and typically, it's kind of I don't want to say it's a black eye, I guess, but it's, as of late, this team has slowed down a lot. Now, Daly was hurt in the Air Force game, and they still found a way to win 20-3. Came back after that, and he's looked great on the ground, 153, 139, 147, even had 190 yards passing. It's UTSA, but the offense hasn't been the Army offense that was the first half of the season. 20 points at Air Force, that's without Bryson Daly. Move on the next week at North Texas, you only score 14. Guys, we talked about North Texas. North Texas's defense. I mean, you held Army to 14 points. You went all in on the rush. You stopped them. Great. They only had 15 yards passing. I'm kind of a little concerned with that. You go to Notre Dame at home, you only score 14 on them. And then just last week, UTSA comes to the crib, and you only score 29 points, and you have to muster it out in the fourth quarter. Army takes over and wins that game. You were down going into the fourth quarter, 17-16, and you have to take in the fourth quarter. You score 13 points to take the lead and make that margin a little wider than it was. 9 minutes left in the game. UTSA scores a touchdown. It's 24-29, and a little back and forth, a little downs. And as you know, Army can take some time to run that football too. They have a couple of real long possessions, but UTSA throws an interception on the Army 43 on the Army 43 for that game. Pretty much it gets sealed over. They did miss a field goal, and they did create 2 turnovers on their own right. Statistically wise, this team does okay on the turnover margin. They get 1.5 takeaways a game. They take care of the football. Number one team, 0.5 fumbles a game. They've only fumbled the ball, fumbled or intercepted the ball 6 times all season long. So this team is super, super clean, taking care of the football. In fact, like I said, that's number 1 in the nation. 53rd on takeaways. But there comes a question. It's the quality of opponent that Army has faced this season. And let's start from the top. Lehigh, they win 42-7. Florida Atlantic, 24-7. Rice, 37-14. Temple, Tulsa, UAB. I'm trying to see. Bowl game for Lehigh, none for Florida Atlantic, none for Temple, none for Tulsa, and look at the balloons come up. None for UAB. East Carolina does have a bowl game. None for Air Force. North Texas did get a bowl game. Notre Dame got a bowl game, and UTSA got a bowl game. So when you see them flip to the teams that play bowl games, quality opponents, North Texas, Notre Dame, UTSA, the 3 teams that are playing in a bowl game that they've played against. East Carolina, I guess, played at a bowl game too, but that was a game that their head coach got fired, so we can kind of toss that one out the window a little bit. You still went up there, and you still did beat them 45-28. But point being, 3 teams, North Texas, Notre Dame, UTSA, that are going bowling, your offense, 14 points, 29 points, and 13 of those points came late. I think the script might be out on how to beat this Army team. Now, you do have a team on the other side, Tulane, who I was bullish on last week, who absolutely came out flat against Memphis. We talked about in the review video why we think that happened. A couple things that was on Thanksgiving. They were at home for Thanksgiving. They coming off a bye week. I don't want to say this team was in party mode, but you were already advancing to the conference championship game. Yeah, you wanted to go 8-0 in conference, 10-2, excuse me. Hell of a lot better than 9-3. But I still kind of factor that in and say, well, maybe I miscapped that game. Take a look at the box score against Memphis. Memphis came out and smacked them in the face early. They weren't ready. Maybe that bye week kind of shook them a little bit. Tulane was up 10-7, and then after that, in the fourth and second quarter, Tulane's offense drives up, and Memphis goes on a 75-yard drive to score a touchdown and a 60-yard drive to score a field goal. And it's 17-10 at half. And third quarter, the offense just never really picks back up until the game's out of reach when it's 27-10. Tulane scores 17 and then 24, but it was never really a tight game. It was out of reach the whole time. It's 34-17 at one point. You score a touchdown with a minute left to make that score, I wouldn't say respectable because you were a 14-point favorite, but right about the second quarter, they kind of started faltering significantly, and the game never changed. I think that's, like I said, combination of being at home for Thanksgiving, your family's there, your cousins are there, your girlfriend's there, your friends are there, and Memphis is on a business trip. They didn't spend Thanksgiving at home. You're coming a bye week, and you've already got, people are telling you how good you are. I am going to throw that out the window, and I know that might be unconventional wisdom at that. Tulane still played a great schedule season. You had a tight game against Kansas State where Kansas State had to score 14 in the fourth quarter to take you out at home. You lost that game by a touchdown. You had a respectable performance, I guess, against Oklahoma. I mean, the defense was fine. The defense was fine through three quarters. You only gave up one touchdown. Your defense only gave up one touchdown. You did have an interception that Oklahoma took advantage of. Get another score there. So that's kind of a black eye there. You didn't play well. Oklahoma September, and we've seen Oklahoma's at home as a different team, but then you went rickshaw against the rest of the thing, and not to mention their other non-conference game was Louisiana, and Louisiana's 7-1, went 7-1 because Louisiana's a good football team, guys. They beat them 41-33. You ran rickshaw for South Florida, UAB, Rice, North Texas, a little tighter, 8 points there, but it was never really that tight. That was 8 points. It was never really that tight. I actually had a North Texas ticket on that game, and so I was watching it, and the game was never really that tight. North Texas had a backdoor that run rickshaw over Charlotte, Temple. You blanked Navy. That's the one that sticks out to me. You blanked Navy. This team can defend this offense. Now, Navy isn't nearly as good as Army at running this offense. We saw that kind of mature late. But still, you know how to run a defense against this offense. Start with their defense, man. This Tulane defense, even after having a less than stellar performance, you're still holding teams to under 100 yards, 96.1 yards per game on the ground. You're also the number 3 red zone scoring defense. Teams get in the red zone, there's no guarantee they're getting points. You absolutely are incredible. You're the 8th ranked defense overall. That's after allowing all those points to Memphis. So, you had the outlier game, guys. We just saw the outlier game. This line opened up at 3.5. It's moved to 4. It's at Army. You're the home team and you're not favored. Now, Army's going to come in there, very disciplined team, very motivated team. They still have this. They still look the part of it. You know what I mean? They're still not the bad team at all. This team is still a good team. Takeaways. Here's the thing about Memphis. Here's the thing about Tulane. 37th in the nation at takeaways, 1.6 per game. Very clean at keeping the football themselves, only 0.9. A plus 0.7 turnover margin. Good enough for 7th in the nation. So, or 16th in the nation, excuse me. That's still a really good, defense and a really good conversion. This team doesn't make a ton of mistakes. Now, they both equally played the same schedule, more or less. And I still just can't get over the fact that they stopped Navy, though. And I know Navy kind of was on a downturn there, didn't look the part. But to me, it screams that this team is ready to focus down, lock in. I think losing that game might be the best thing for this Tulane team. Sometimes when your confidence is a little too high, you're a little cock on the walk, a little hot to trot, you start getting a little full of yourself. You think, man, we can't lose. We're Tulane. We're running rickshaw through the American Conference. Well, you just got humbled, and you got humbled at home on national TV. This team should absolutely come fired out. So redundant, I know. I don't want to say this because everyone's going to laugh at me because it did lose last week. I think you want to stick to the first half here. This team should come out motivated. They should come out with a game plan how to stop this run. Army's not going to be a pushover. I'm not saying that. But the line's also telling you a story. It's -4 full game. First half is -3. Typically, that would be a 1.5, maybe 2. You're making me lay the full field goal in the first half in order to get a win. I think Tulane comes in here, reestablishes dominance, reestablishes the run defense, and makes a statement here and says, hey, you know what? We can defend the run. We're one of the few teams in the nation that defend the run as well as Army. And we're going to come out here and show you guys how well we can defend the run. And the game against Memphis, that was the game that just kind of, was a Fugazi, and bear that with the fact, like I said, Army's played 3 consecutive bowl teams, 3 consecutive weeks. That offense has been very mediocre. It hasn't looked spot. Let's open the box score on Army real quick. The last few games, that's the part that you want to look at. We're going to excuse the Notre Dame game because that's just a pure talent gap in my opinion. But the North Texas game, Bryson Daly's first game back, 15 yards. They only ran for 293 yards. I know only ran for 293 yards. They averaged 306, so they didn't hit their average. North Texas is a terrible rushing defense. And you couldn't quite convert there. You did have a turnover. You did have 1 turnover. That's not that bad. I mean, that's still definitely below your average, or above your average there. Move on to the next game against UTSA. And you look at the box score there. Army ran for 217 yards. So, in UTSA, guys, this is a team, I promise you, their rushing defense isn't special. Their passing defense isn't special. UTSA's defense isn't special at all. And you had to go late. I really, truly think this Army team is kind of slowing down at the wrong time in the season. That loss to Notre Dame might have shook them. Maybe it brought out some tape for some other opponents to say, hey, this is how you beat them. This is how you stop this offense. So, guys, what do we got here? 11 minutes in the book. I think this game is pretty much, I don't want to say it's one of the easier ones, but I think this is one I'm going to get the winner with. Go ahead, give me the Tulane Green Wave second week in a row. And I know it's redundant, but I really believe this team comes out with a little more passion, a little more invigorated after a loss. Give me Tulane first half -3. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you think Army's a team of destiny. They're meant to, win this game, win the American Conference Championship. Maybe knock on the playoff door. Who knows? Maybe possibly. Maybe they get ranked. Maybe they find a way up to the top 15 and find their way in the playoffs. I don't know. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys at the